10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Drag racing fan, Monday Morning Racer here. It is the Competition Plus Power Hour, and we certainly are bringing the power tonight with legends such as Roy Heel, Rickie Smith, and Pat Musi. They are going to be on the show later, momentarily in the evening, but before we get to them, we're going to talk some current news in drag racing, and I'm not the only one going to be yakking it up. No, I'm also going to be yakking it up with my co-host, Slammin' Sam, right here. Take it away, man.
What's up, race fans? It's another week of Competition Plus Power Hour. First things first, let's do some housekeeping, everybody. If you have not already, go over to Competition Plus. Competition Plus Apparel is having a sale. You get 20% off any orders that are $25 or more. So that's great news. And you can listen to us on podcast form, all the major platforms under the Power Hour. And if you got any questions for us throughout the week, you want to know who we're talking to, email us, powerhourcp@gmail.com. It's an exciting week, Lee. I mean, so much to talk about. I don't even know where to start today. What do you got for me?
Man, look, there is a lot to talk about. Looking forward to what Jeff Arin, our pit insider, will have for us. You know, man, look, there was a big no-prep race in Rockingham. Let's start there, man. What do you think about
you? You want to talk to me about no-prep racing?
Talk to you about no-prep racing. Talk to everybody out there. And look, I know we've got an NHRA-centric crowd. I get that. But, yeah, let's talk a little bit about no prep. From tragedy to triumphs, it's there this week.
Well, just to start, I mean, going back off what we talked about last week is fires. To JJ Boss and his whole crew from the Street Outlaws, that sucks to see another trailer go down in flames. So prayers out to them. More records. We talk about all this no prep racing. There's a lot of records being broken. We're continuing down that trail. Even one of our guests tonight, they have to play the fence there with the no prep and the PDRA stuff. So, 2021 is going to be a great year for no prep.
I think it will be. It's been interesting to see the rise in no prep. In the world of drag racing, you go back to the early days. I mean, there was no prep. It wasn't even a term. There wasn't no prep. Period. There was nothing to do with the tracks. I talked to my dad when they were in the gasser scene with him and Gene Cromer back in the late '60s, early '70s. Yeah, track prep was nothing what it is today. So they were on, in essence, no prep situations. But you look at no prep today. I like the premise of it. It's like, we're going to take away this driver aid. We're going to take away this car aid of setting records, and we're just going to pit two cars together on virgin asphalt and see what happens. So, as far as the racing, man, I've got to ask you, is there anything that in no prep that you dislike, or what do you like most about it, Sam?
Well, for me, I mean, when I get behind the wheel of my car, that's kind of the racing that I prefer to do. What I like about it, it brings it back to traditional racing. First to the finish line wins. A lot of people are going to complain and say the person that has the biggest checkbook will win. Yeah, but the no prep scene does take a lot of that out of there. So I like it. The things I don't like, and great talking points is, some of the arguments we have with no prep, you have, did he jump? Did he not jump? That argument there's an easy way to solve that. But when you're on the streets, a lot of people want to take it back to their traditional racing, back to where it all started. So, I mean, it's hard for me to have any negatives about it because I love no prep racing that much.
Yes, it's a great platform, but I have to agree with you. You just said it, the jumping. Man, look, I I don't understand it. This aura with having a flashlight start or an arm drop start. You know, I mean, even some of the nostalgia events that want to do a flag drop, they didn't really do flag drop back in the day. It was flag raise. Gene Cromer says it himself. They started from the ground and they raised it up. Look, I don't get it.
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
You're raising the flag, at what point can you move? When the arm is barely going, at what point can you move? At least with an arm drop, if they start here like JJ the Boss, unless Chase is a race. And I want to know from the fans out there, is Chase really a race, or, you know, should you leave when the arms drop? But if the arms are up here, at least you can see both of them. And then when they start to move, then you know, hey, I'm good to go.
Look, man, I look at it this way. Why try to reinvent the wheel? They had this problem way back in the day, and they said, hey, we can come up with a light situation. They create the lights. You don't have to have pre-stage, in stage. You don't have to have the ambers go off a flashlight. One light, yellow, red, green, whatever you want to do, and you remove the human element of, oh, let's go back to the tape and with the naked eye try to see what is and who actually did jump. Oh, speaking of the naked eye, hey, Jack, let me say this, Jack. Sorry, can't watch buttheads with those stupid blank sunglasses. FYI, it's not sunny, moron. Actually, I'm under some lights. It's pretty bright, but you might not be that bright for such a comment. Look, man, come here, enjoy drag racing. Don't worry about what I'm wearing. Sit tight.
Yeah, so this is what I got to say about it. And I'm going to steal the words right out of Big Chief's mouth. If you ain't street, don't try to be street. So what that means is, I get it. You want the lights, you want, you know, the sensors and everything like that. But that's how these guys and girls, because we do have to remember there are a lot of girls in this class now, in category, I should say. So you can't bring all that to the track. If you guys are saying, hey, we're meeting up in 45 minutes down the road on blankety blank road in Mexico, and that's where you're meeting up, you can't have a timing system and everything out there like that. So flashlights is what it is. I mean, that way you can have a couple of GoPros and you can see the flashlight, and, you know, I'm all for it. I mean, granted, I do prefer everyone out there to be safe when you're racing, have fun when you're doing it, but that has come about, and I think has grown our sport with the traction that Discovery has with all the no prep stuff going on.
Yes, you know, look, I'm not an advocate for going out there on the street and racing. If you're going to do it, be smart about it. You know, go to some empty industrial park or something and do it there, not anywhere near the scene of any busy highways. And something I have liked, Sam, is facilities saying, hey, we're going to use our shutdown area, go back towards the track we usually race on, and get some no-prep action in. I think it's a great call for facilities to create at both ends racing opportunity and get more events and get more people to the track. I think that's very advantageous for promoters.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, we, you know, where I live here in North Dakota, we have some tracks like that. And, you know, we do that. But then we also have weekends where, hey, the track was ran on last weekend. We're not doing anything. You know, we'll sweep it off, make sure it's safe for everyone, but we're not putting any prep down. So I think there's a lot of ways. I think there's a lot of movement, i.e. traction, and all of that. So, I mean, I think if you're not doing it or if you're not going to these events, try and make it out to one of these. Support your local tracks that are doing these, because you will see a lot more younger and older. The diversity of this is far more than what we can say, because people understand first to the finish line. Nothing against bracket racing, and thank you to all of the bracket racers out there, but it's hard to explain to someone that does not like the sport, to someone that doesn't understand bracket racing. It's way harder to explain than someone that goes to the track for the first time and sees two cars line up, they both go, and the winner wins. They can understand that, and it draws more people into the sport.
Right. Look, go back to, I believe, yes, last week, Sega, Quayne Stott. Look, Pro Tree There's no time, no mile per hour on the lights. It's just a wind light. It is heads-up drag racing with a wind light. People get that. Because I don't care who you are, from the smallest of kids to the oldest of adults, we understand drag racing, because drag racing is basically start here, finish there, whoever gets there first. That's why I think no prep has took off. Also, not to mention, the cars are actually, well, cars. I mean, pro stock right now is quite muddled. Like, what are we looking at? Like, I had someone on my channel mention, well, they are just naturally aspirated funny cars. I'm like, well, that's close. They're definitely naturally aspirated pro mods. That's for sure.
No. A lot of these cars now are starting to go back to, I think, street cars, more affordable. It looked, to the natural eye, it looks like it. There for a while, everyone was leaning, Big Chief himself with the Crow. I mean, that was a pro mod. Let's be honest. A lot of these cars are built to the stipulations of almost pro mods, but they look street. And that's what it's about. More people are going to gain traction to this simply because it's something that you and your son, you and your dad, you and your friends can build in a garage or maybe in a shop, maybe take it somewhere to do some fab work. But for, the 80% of car guys that love racing, they can do this in their own garage or at a friend's shop. So it's interesting. It's fun. It gets you out to the track, which is going to promote you to being, a diehard racer.
Yes. Now, I will say this. In the no prep scene, can we please have something other than Fox bodies? Look, I'm a Ford guy, but I am tired of seeing Fox body Mustangs. I know you got one. You got one. I know.
Trust me, I'm sick of seeing them too. But they're just so easy to build. They're easy. What we need to do is stop letting people put Chevy motors in Fords. And if the people are going to continue to do that, here's my claim right here, and I'm going to make it. If I continue to see this, I will put a big block Ford in an old Camaro, and that's just going to be that. I'm done. Like, you with cereal, boom, mad. I don't care. But if I continue to see all these people crossbreeding these brands, like, I just can't do it. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm going to say. I will put a big block in a Chevy.
Dude, I agree with you. I cannot stand the crossbreeding. I mean, unless you got an American Motors car and you can't help it. But no, if you got a Dodge, if you got a Ford, if you got a Chevrolet, have what's supposed to be in that thing, for goodness sakes. Please.
I like Deep Junk Garage. I like his LS. No, absolutely not.
LS the world. No.
No,
please,
absolutely not.
No. But, hey, look, props to Chevrolet, though. They got their business in line. They got their marketing department in line, and they've put the parts out there, and they put a platform out there that, I mean, it's so easy to drop an LS in just about anything, and it's transferable. You can turbo. I mean, look, I'll hand it to them. They put a good platform out there, as much as it hurts for me to say that.
I used to be friends with Colton Jordan until now. He wrote that, nope, Colton, we are not friends anymore. We're done. This friendship's over. I'm sorry, but we can't do this. Hey, speaking of drag racing and all this no prep stuff, how about Competition Plus virtual racing? It's back up. Did you hear about that? Like, what?
It's back up. It was a huge hit when COVID first hit. I imagine it's going to be another big hit with COVID still around and going into the holidays.
Hey, I know I might be, looking on there, seeing, pick this one. I'll grab that one. But, I mean, it's just something fun for us all to do, right? Talking with Bobby about that, he said there was a lot of people interested in it, and a lot of people were actually casting votes the last time. So guys and girls, if you haven't done already, right after you order your Competition Plus apparel, you might as well go ahead to the virtual racing on Competition Plus, and then you can vote, pick your racers, see who wins. Do you remember who won last year, Lee?
Oh, I believe it was, Terry McMillan won, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was a close race.
Yes, it was. It was, with Clay Milliken.
Man. Look at that.
Two fan favorites. It's going to be interesting to see who gets it this time. Hey, speaking of that Competition Plus apparel, let's take a break, talk about Competition Plus apparel, and bring our pit insider in, Jeff Arend.
Get your CompetitionPlus.com apparel today. Whether it's our nitro-burning funny car design or the vibrant door slammer design, we have the swag to show you are always in the know. Get yourself a hat too. And we know not everyone enjoys wearing a mask, but if you must wear one, at least wear a good-looking one. Check out the new CompetitionPlusApparel.com for the latest from the place where you have trusted for your news on the internet for over 2 decades.
Jeff, man, welcome to the show. Beautiful tree there behind you, man.
Santa.
You got the Christmas spirit going on here, and certainly not me does all the tree stuff. It's the wife for sure. So
yes, you're more concerned about the cigar and the beer, right?
Definitely, and I got the 10-foot blow-up Santa in the front yard too, so maybe taller.
Oh, man.
There you go. Well, Jeff, give us the dirt.
All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about Funny Car Chaos tonight. So to be honest with you, when it first started, I wasn't 100% sure how well it was going to go. And I mean, this thing, like unlike some other sports, it's grown and grown and grown. I mean, if you don't know the premise behind it, you have to have a funny car. It's got to run on alcohol or nitro. It's 8th mile racing, wide variety of tracks. So if you have like the badass late model car, like you're going to go to some tracks where you're not going to be able to get down there. So it really evens the playing field out a lot. Most of the time you're running like in the 380s somewhere. You're going to do pretty good if you can run that run after run. And actually, an alcohol car has won a bunch of the races there. So I think it's a pretty cool deal. It's a 2-day event. It's like $20 to get in, which isn't very much, obviously. They have Friday night qualifying. They got lots of night runs on Saturday. It's a pretty cool deal. And there's a bunch of new cars coming out. I mean, I think they averaged somewhere around 18 to 25 cars last year per event, which for a 16-car field, they have like an 8-car A field and an 8-car B field. So there was way more cars than you would have in fields, obviously, which is unlike some other forms of racing that we know about. And there's a bunch of new cars being built now. You got like Mike Cougar out there. Mike Cougar used to be obviously crew chief for Bernstein and for Leah Pritchett and for Vandergriff. And I don't think he's driven since like 1981 when he drove the Speed Racer car. So he's building himself a Funny Car Chaos car. You got Jim Gifford, which I think Gary Kennedy, everybody called him Skippy, and Mike Smith are working on right now. And that's going to be kind of a purpose-built Funny Car Chaos car, 2-speed transmission. So something you can get down, maybe a track that's not quite as good, might give him a little bit of an advantage. And there's like 5 or 6 more guys coming out in that particular deal. Then you have a bunch of the fuel-altered guys like Mary Reed with the Grim Reaper, and Tom Moultrie with the Drastic Plastic, and Anthony Whitfield with the Mighty Mouse. They're all getting funny car bodies to put on their fuel altered. So that's going to be really cool to see those guys come in there. And you're going to hear it here first. There's going to be an increased payout next year, and not just for the winner, but across the whole board. And that's kind of a neat deal. They pay pretty good already, considering it's 8th mile. You don't have to really lean on your stuff as hard, and you should be able to like not go through a lot of parts. You don't have to run as fast as you can. So it's a pretty cool deal as far as that goes. And it's getting a lot of people into the sport. There's never really been like a training ground for nitro funny car drivers. You'll see some guys come out, they've got some money, they buy a ride, they get in there, they're like blowing the cones over, hitting the wall. So a funny car is very hard to drive. Any other kind of car in the world that you drive, whether it be a dragster or a pro mod or whatever, if you turn the wheel much more than like 20, 30 degrees, you're probably going to crash. A funny car, you got to turn it 20 or 30 just to go straight. So this is going to be a great training ground for our future drivers in Nitro Funny Car. Part of the increased payout is coming through some new sponsors. So Fred Spell from Spell Paving Services has come up as a 3-year primary sponsor. So that's a pretty dedicated deal. You can count on his money for 3 years. And I've known Fred for a long time. His dad used to build superchargers back in the day. He's been kind of in the racing field all his life. Worked on the head racing car with Lori Johns. I don't know if you remember that. It's quite a while back. So that's kind of a neat deal. You have the Red Line Shirt Club that's out there, which I kind of never heard about, sorry to hear. But they have a deal like $25 a month. They sell you these really cool shirts, and you get one a month kind of as a gift deal. So that's kind of neat. And they do all the merch at the track, so you can buy stuff there if you want to. You got Mears, Mazda, and Volvo, Littlefield Blowers, Taylor Motorsports, CP Carrillo, some really good companies that are supporting the Funny Car Chaos. But probably the coolest thing that happened, I just heard about today, was the Don Schumacher Racing Parts Division is now kind of a supporting deal for Funny Car Chaos. And that's a big deal because when you're building a nitro funny car or putting together a motor program, sometimes you're buying parts from this guy, that guy, whatever. You don't know what rocker stands to use, if everything's going to work right, if the cylinder heads are the same angle, if you need some washers for the intake studs or whatever. Everything's different. So if you can go to DSR and you can buy, quality parts that aren't all beat up, that's going to help you a lot. They're going to help a lot there. They're going to do a lot of other cool things. They might even end up being a nitro supplier for Funny Car Chaos, which is kind of cool. They also, chassis, bodies, motor parts, whatever you're going to need, you're going to have knowledgeable people selling you quality parts. And I think that's going to make that series a whole bunch better. And they're even going to get into the wrap deal. So if you have a Funny Car Chaos car, you want to get it wrapped, you can go right to DSR and get the thing wrapped right there. The wealth of information there is something that, a lot of these guys getting into racing, boy, if you could deal with Don Schumacher Racing, a proven entity, it's going to make you a lot better. So next year, Funny Car Chaos, I think it's going to be pretty badass. They got a couple of races starting at Ennis and it ends in Ennis. That's a really good track. So you're going to see some really fast times. And you got some other tracks that you're going to have to adapt to the track. And that's going to make it a lot better, I think. So I'm pretty excited about Funny Car Chaos for next year.
Jeff, man, great info, and yes, definitely excited for Funny Car Chaos. Not only am I excited for Funny Car Chaos, but Chris Graves, who I had on my show Between the Slicks at one time, we talked about this. He alluded to it, then finally announced, hey, they are going to have a Nitro Nationals, like fuel altered versus funny car. Like if it's running Nitro, you can run it. I'm looking forward to that. Hey, speaking of Chris, he's right there. He says, what's he say? It popping up now, and it says, very excited about Chaos 2021. Thanks, Jeff. Yes, sir. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, no problem. I think it's going to be really exciting, and I look forward to it.
Awesome. Well, folks, we're going to let Jeff go right after this break, putting a word in for those that are helping us out right here at Competition Plus Power Hour.
On the street, in the water, or at the track. If you drive it, we can fuel it.
Oh, man.
Hey.
You have to pull up this comment.
I saw it.
Mike.
Oh, God. I saw it. Folks,
I laughed.
The Mike Ashley is on the scene. He says, I'm excited to see you, Lee. Thank you. But no, I see how it is, Mike. When are you getting on a Nitro Harley? Dude, if someone will set that up, I'll crack the throttle. I might not make it down the track, but I will crack the throttle. Someone set that up, please.
Hey, if you do it, I'll give you a slammy. So for the people that don't know, a couple of weeks ago, Lee and I made this thing that we're going to have a tricycle race. Lee's got to get on a Nitro Harley. What else is there, Lee? What other races do we have?
Well, we've got Stevie Fast Jackson versus Quayne Stott.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Melanie said she wanted to, what was it?
Oh, I can't remember now. I cannot remember.
I think it was Funny Car.
We've set so many races up, we've done forgot them.
I hope someone's keeping track of this. But all I know is I have three slammies. I have 3 slammies, and you have 0.
Look,
he even said he'll sponsor.
We got it. We got it on the record. Somebody call Tharp. Somebody. I will sponsor it, but you need to do at least a burnout and a launch. I'll do it, man. I will do it. Someone.
There you go.
Look, I already totaled one bike in my life. I'll do another one.
Hey, just to bring this up, because I forgot to mention it last week, Pro Stock is getting another driver. I know the class is, at a lower number this year, but Elite Motorsports, Lyle's coming over to run for Elite. So I got to ask you about this again, since we've been talking about all this no prep stuff, Lee. Do you think we'll see more of these no prep drivers, these outlaw drivers, converting over if the finances are there, if the opportunities are there? I mean, you already have 2 guys doing it. Now you're bringing in a third. Do you think you can see more NHRA guys that do run some outlaw stuff?
I am all for transfer from class to class and association to association. And in drag racing, I don't think it has happened as much recently. There used to be a day and time, and we can ask our guests in a few moments, like Roy Hill, Rickie Smith, Pat Musi, You know, it used to be you ran IHRA and you ran NHRA, you switch your motor out, and you could go and, you know, run several different associations. And then it seemed to stop, and it got to the point now where it's like, okay, you're in one class, you're in one association, and that's all you're doing, except for guys in the high-powered door cars. Look, I love what, like, Alex Laughlin is doing. He'll get in anything, any class, and he'll race it. Why not for drag racing? We see it in the dirt car world. We see it in the circle track world. You know, you had guys down at the Snowball Derby that, you know, you had the Cup champion Chase Elliott at the Snowball Derby in a late model, and Kyle Busch. Why don't we see drag racers doing the same thing? I think we need to see like a Clay Millican back in a bracket car at $1 million race and those type of things. Sure, man.
I think it'll draw a lot of people in. Also, I think as drag racing right now, I think we're missing that stepping stone, right? You can go from, you know, your local IHRA to your local NHRA stuff. And then if you don't have that, then I think you're kind of bottlenecked. But I think we need to someone out there that's listening that can make it happen. Let's create that program where you see these kids, these younger kids and these younger adults that are very talented out there. I could name a few of them from my local area that are very talented that I think, you know, should get into that. And I think with what Roy Hill, our guest, is doing with the school and, you know, teaching people how to drag race, teaching them to understand everything that's going on and learning, I think we need to see that transition. And if we see that, I believe that we will grow tremendously. I think the growth of that will exceed what we can ever see.
Right, man, right.
Like,
well, look, I got to say this from Deep Junk Garage. By the way, that is a great YouTube handle, man. He says, those bikes, referring to Nitro Harleys, are as dangerous as some of the ladies I've dated. I understand, man. I understand. I certainly understand. By the way, Sam, look, in the comments right now, the bike thing is leading the way. I think I'm getting the Slammy tonight.
Okay, we have to ask the fans. Do you think Lee will actually get on the bike? Like, I would start it. I won't do more than that. I'm not putting it in gear. I can admit to that. That's just ballsy. I wouldn't do it. I don't think Lee's actually going to do the burnout. That's where I stand. And if he does, I'll give you 5 Slammies.
Five
Slammies. I'll give you 5 because, you know, we don't have Wallies here, so we have Slammies. That's what we named them.
Yep. Look, man, if someone gave me an opportunity, I would do it. Like I said, I've already totaled one bike, and look, I'm already standing next to the 10,000 horsepower machine as it does a burnout by me. You know, I mean, come on.
See, I like a cage around me. Call me a wimp, whatever. You know, I just think I couldn't do it. No way.
Well, you know, speaking of, I mean, man, it is amazing what those on pro stock motorcycles, such as Rickie Smith's son, Matt Smith, does. You know, Giuliano Salinas, Angie Smith.
200 mile an hour.
You know, what the guys on the Nitro Harleys are doing. There's nothing. It's you, leather, and asphalt. And look, I can tell you from experience, when I wiped out my bike, asphalt will shred you.
I can tell you this. I talked to Angie on my podcast, In the Groove, with Outlaw Performance ENT. You guys can check that out anywhere you want to on all the major platforms, Outlaw Performance ENT. But I talked to Angie Smith about that. And there is something that just doesn't click with me with 2 wheels, leathers, a helmet, one hand on that bike going 200 mile an hour. If you told me I was strapped into a car, I know I can roll and flip and, you know, whatever. I would rather do that strapped in. You can give me a funny car. You can give me a Top Fuel dragster. I don't care. Whatever car you want me to get in, I'll drive it. But I just won't do it on a bike. But talking with her and just understanding what that's like to let go and just hold on with one hand, yeah, I don't trust myself that much. There's a reason they call me Slammin' Sam.
Folks, we have got Roy Hill in the studio. We've got Rickie Smith in the studio. We're just waiting on Pat Musi. He's coming in soon. Folks, look, put in the comments before we bring these guys on, what do you think the most extreme class in drag racing is? Is it Top Fuel Harley? Is it Funny Car? Look, I have to still say, even though you've got a body around you and you are in some roll bars and got 4 wheels, I think Funny Car still is the most extreme because you got that big monster not too far in front of you, ready to explode.
That's the thrill of it, though. That does not scare me. I'd rather see the motor right there in my lap. That one doesn't get me. It's just I like security. That's what it comes down to, Lee.
So Sam, you're saying that you like your blanket.
Call me out. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Fire blankets,
Okay.
tie downs, everything.
All right.
There's stuff there.
Well, look, we're going to bring on after the break, folks, definitely folks that they didn't mind leaving their blankie and their security. They pioneered the sport of drag racing, and they've lived it for decades. We're talking about Roy Hill, Rickie Smith, and Pat Musi. We're going to bring them on right after this break.
In the race for quality, there is no finish line. Jerry Bickle Race Cars is a one-stop chassis shop for drag racing performance parts and race components. For over 50 years, Jerry Bickle Race Cars has been an essential part of racers' plans for building world champion race cars. Our parts department is stocked with every part a racer might need. Log on to jerrybickle.com for more information. We build anything with doors. jerrybickle.com.
All right, folks, guest number 1 that we're going to bring on of these 3 legends is Tricky Rickie Smith. Mr. Smith, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man. Got my TV on over here, workout. Well, my Dallas Cowboys playing, which they're probably going to get beat. And
that's good. That's good. It's good news.
I do want to say one thing while we're starting here. Don Hardy. Race cars. Don Hardy died last Sunday, a week ago, so he was buried today. He built my first pro stock car, and he probably built Roy's and Pat Musi's also. But I want to say condolence to Don Hardy's family. He was buried today. God bless him.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Look, let's bring on another guest here with these 3 legends, Mr. Roy Hill. Mr. Hill, how's it going tonight?
That's scary, that Mr. Hill. I'm not ready for that, but it's great.
Oh, well, look, it is definitely good to have you on, sir. We're looking forward to talking drag racing with you. And we've got one more guest. We've got a trifecta of legends, Mr. Pat Musi. Mr. Musi, how you doing?
Gosh. I'm doing good. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm on my...
Did you say trifecta or ginger? What do you call it? It might be a trifecta.
Oh, man. Started already.
No.
Right out of the...
Started already. My. Now, guys, we've got to behave ourselves tonight as best we can. We want to keep this monetized on YouTube, okay?
Oh man, that's gonna be tough. I'm sitting here watching that clown. I'm sitting over here watching this clown with the earphones on over there with the white hair. You better watch him.
Definitely. Well, look, now Rickie said clown. Mr. Hill, I'll state. Let's begin with you. I've got to ask about your weekend at Rockingham. Talk to me about a little bit of no prep racing with, man, a car that looked like I could remember from the early 90s, old Thunderbird.
We had the 1995 championship car, and Mike had completely went through that car. We're getting ready to do a tire test for Goodyear with a DOT radial tire that they've been working on for a year and getting approved. So we decided to use that car to test the tires with. We put a little larger engine in it. And so there was a race at Rockingham. My good buddy Steve Earwood and another group got together. So Mike wanted to run that race, and we went down there. We tested a little bit at Piedmont Dragway with it, got the car where it was going down the track. We was really excited about going down there. And so I guess you could say it was a whole different way of racing. That's what I've got to say. And it's like anything else. When you've never done it, you got to get better prepared to do it. And we just needed some time. And so Mike did a good job. We'll go back. Matter of fact, we're going back Thursday and test the car at Rockingham.
Somebody said you run backwards up a racetrack. Is that right?
Mike did. I'm going to go down. I might make a run in that car come Thursday. Come on down, Rickie. You drove some of these cars.
They said y'all were going to the top end and running back up the racetrack the other way like a streetcar race. Is that what they're doing?
That ain't nothing. We unloaded on the highway, got run over by the cops.
You know, all three of us have been successful, and we all have gone a different direction and made racing a living for us. And I did the schools. Rickie, you have gone out and just won and won. Pat, your engine business, your daughter driving, y'all are really doing good. And I miss racing. I've been doing this NHRA super stock and stock stuff. We got a new pro stock car, but it takes time and good people, and that's what we're looking for, is some good people to go to work with us.
Boy,
got a question
good
here.
luck with that.
That's what I said. Good luck with that.
I'm going to open. I think we should open up with this story, Roy Hill and Pat. What is this story of you guys chasing Al Tucci in a rental car? I mean, I've heard about this, but I got to hear it from you guys. I've heard one side of this story, so I don't know who wants to explain it, but I got to know.
Well, Roy can give you his story, and then I'll tell you what I saw.
There's two sides to everything. You know what I mean? I'd been off racing somewhere, and Pat was at Piedmont Dragway running a race, and I knew that. So I was going to surprise him and come by and see him. And it was probably, 6, 7 o'clock. The race was pretty much over. Undoubtedly, there had been some kind of consultation broke out. There was a race and there was a fight broke out, I understand. But anyway.
Bob Harris got his jaw relocated.
I wasn't going to say that. But anyway, Bob got dislocated and hit the ground by a little guy about 5 foot tall, I think. So I'm in there, and they're telling me stories about it, and here comes Al Tucci, my buddy, he said. So he's a little mouthy, you know. Well, you're down here on my part of the country, and he's from up north somewhere. We call him a Yankee. Isn't that what we call him, Rickie?
Yeah, Yankees.
Hey, I've been with you guys so long, I'm converted now.
Yeah, we'll let you stay down here now. We done got you down here, and now you stay.
I think Pat had won the race, and we were going to go out to eat. So, Pat, did he come up and give me the number one finger or something? What was he doing?
It's with you asking the waitress, you know what you wanted to buy her first.
Anyway, whatever it was, he said a few words and nailed the gas pedal. Well, he had to rent a car. It doesn't make any difference what I'm in, and I'm going to go come get you. You ain't got to wait on it. I'm coming. So we had about 3 miles, 4 miles to get where we were going, and I spun him out several times, I think, didn't I, Pat?
Oh, yeah. No. See, that's where we got to tell the truth now. You got that pistol out, fired a couple rounds over the top of it.
You go ahead and pick up the rest of the little gig.
He talks about it to this day. He says, "You really think he'd have shot me?" I said, "He was aiming at you. Just lucky he missed you."
I did carry a gun back then, I think.
Yeah, yeah. He still. He said he has nightmares, right? I don't get it. Just a little cap gun going off.
We've had
That's a
some.
true story.
That
Let
was
me tell you,
very,
whatever
very
you
true.
hear tonight is the God honest truth. There's three of us here. So one of us lie, the other one will fill in the blanks. We're going to tell you the truth.
I'm a little older than the rest of you. My mind's fading quite a bit. But,
I got you. Don't worry. I got you.
Talking about stories, I think Pat's got a good story to tell you about his neighbor had done something to offend him. And so Pat took a ball bat and he wouldn't come to the door. And this was on some kind of court TV. So Pat goes goes over there and takes his body man with him. When I say body man, a paint, dented fenders and things like that. And so Pat had called and told me what happened. I said, well, just go take his windshield out. While you're there, get you some fenders if you want them, if he won't pay you some money. So Pat goes over there with his body shop guy, and they go to work with a ball bat. And this guy's coming out and raising hell with him, Pat.
Oh, he wouldn't come out his gate, though. He's smart enough to come out the gate, not to come out the gate. But he's on his cell phone, and I hear him calling the cops. And he said, you got to get here right now. He's doing it right now. I said, look, I think I'm making done. That was 240, that one swing. You got another 240? I ain't got no money. Did you hear what he said? You got to get here right now. I said, I just told you they won't make it in time. So I took another swing. Then I looked at my buddy Tony, the bottom, and I said, Tone, that looked like 480 to you? He's, I don't know, but it's close. I said, all right, let me take another swing. I looked at him. He's about in tears by then. And the cops were starting to get closer. I could hear the sirens coming my way. So I flung the bat over to one of my buddies, said, get rid of the bat. And I looked at the boy, you know, that I was having the trouble with. I said, look, if I went over, let me know. We'll settle up in the morning. So, that's another true story.
Well, let's not leave Rickie out. There's some stories.
Oh, Rickie got some good. We might have to remind Rickie. Rickie tries to be nice now. He's got sponsors, but Rick, you might as well just let it go.
You know, Pat, what is the best story? I will take blame of dragging Rickie in on a few things, but I think we were in New Jersey or somewhere, and there was a guy doing some singing.
I was in Ohio.
Ohio? Go ahead and tell the story. Rickie got all involved in that. The three of us, I think it was. And,
Damn, I gotta be the storyteller. I'll tell it. I'll tell it exactly like it happened. See, Roy gets bored.
Say I swear I'm not lying this time. Just say I swear I'm not lying.
Oh, Roy gets bored in a hurry, so it happened to be when the three of our crews and us were together. You really didn't want to be around unless you're on our side, trust me. I don't think you do now, but maybe they do. But anyway, we're sitting there, and we had this kid on my crew, Joey. He got Lapone on the starting line, and then he jerked his pants down, no underwear. The whole crowd was cheering, so he was kind of known for that. There was this guy leaning up on the bar, had these little gym shorts on. Roy looks at Joey, he said, Joey, go pull that. He used like a kind of a curse word. You can fill in the blanks, but he said, go pull that MF shorts down over there. Joey said, all right. Joey went over, pulled him down, and this guy gets all, he ain't got no underwear, nothing. He's up on a bar like John Travolta. And they go down, and he stands up. He tries to grab Joey. As he stood up, all of us got up. My crew, Rickie's crew, Roy's crew. So he looked up at us. He said, oh, okay, all right. He said, you know, he kind of come to his senses. So about a half hour goes by, and Roy's bored again. Joey, that guy's pants down again. All right, Joey does it again. Same deal. He gets all pissed off. He wants to jump on Joey. We all get up, and they kind of change their mind. So I guess about 20 minutes minutes go by. Roy's getting bored. I look up, and they got a band going. And I'll be damned, the guy with the shorts is the singer. It's a true story now. The place everybody's dancing out in the bar, and the guy that's singing is the guy that got his shorts pulled down. Roy, I said, Roy, look who's singing. So Roy tells Joey, I give you $100 back then, $100 a lot of money. So I give you $100 if you pull his pants down on stage. Joey said, no, I'll do this one for free. But Joey had this crazy laugh. I mean, you could hear it from outside the building, probably. So you see him going through the crowd. You can watch his head kind of going through the crowd. He's going through and he's singing on, band is going. And all you see is two hands go up and then pants one down. And that guy had nothing on. He was hanging in the breeze, right, Roy?
That was the funniest thing. You just had to be there. And poor old Rickie was trying to stay so straight, wasn't you, Rickie? You were right in the damn middle of everything. You were wanting just to pop somebody. And Rickie's big enough to pop somebody. But I don't know. The cavalry come, didn't they? The local police.
So we all come down. Because now he got the whole band wants to fight us. So they're all coming towards us. So Rickie got one by the throat in there. And I think he was shaking him. I about had him choked out. What the hell are you doing here? Rickie told me. He said, I'm trying to find my glasses. Rickie said, we got a goddamn fight going on here. Threw him down. And then the other guy it was just a fight broke out. But the guy that happened to come to me was the guy that got his pants pulled down. So he's coming and he's really pissed out. And he says, man, I can't do this shit. This ain't right. I can't take this shit were his exact words. I said, listen, why do you hear me out? Then you can do whatever you want, but you really need to listen to me. Calm down. And he said, okay. Well, when he said that, I said, boy, I got this on bitch now. I said, look, you said you can't take it. You look like you took it pretty good to me. Is it really worth getting your ass beat on top of it? And he said, nah, I guess you're right. So he quit. And that's when Roy picked up, boy, the cavalry come. But of course, our buddy Roy, we sent Joe. I said, Joey, go to the room, get lost, get out of here. So we kind of had everything calmed down until Roy said, I want to talk to one with all the stripes on his arms. I don't want no peons in here when all the sheriffs come in. Well, make a long story short, Roy got handcuffed. We had to go bail Roy out, but that's all that happened. It wasn't a bad deal, but that's how it ended. If Roy, you could never stop. If you would have just relaxed a minute, we had it, but you just had to talk about the stripes, which I think is pretty good.
I had to talk to the man with all the stripes. That was another mistake I made.
Roy's a little bit like Trump. He just would have shut up, would have been all right.
I'm back, guys.
We've had some large times out there.
Hey, Rickie, got a question for you, and actually for all of you guys. Did you guys ever see or ever believe that your careers would end up the way that they did? I mean, the way that you guys had started and finished, did you ever believe that would happen for you guys?
I certainly never
Not in my
believed it.
wildest dream. I started out around home here, this local track, East Bend, Farmington, stuff like that. And I'll tell you what, the two guys that probably got me started for sure, and I wanted to outrun and I wanted to beat. And this one guy is still racing today, and anybody knows drag racing knows who he is. But it was Mike Bowles and good old Charlie Brown wagon. And that was my dream. That's all I was worried about, was beating Mike Bowles and good old Charlie Brown wagon. And, I went to that stage and got where I can compete with them and actually they had the good old Charlie Brown wagon, Lyle Levinson on the car, and he had Snoopy. And I built me a 68 Camaro and called it the Red Baron. So that's kind of what got me started. And if it hadn't been for them two, I probably wouldn't have pushed as hard as I had and got where, got started and been hard headed about winning, and stuff like that. So Mike Bulls and Lyle Upson want to lit the fire under me around here.
Who wants to
Roy.
go next? You, Roy?
Yeah, go ahead, Roy.
What did we say? You know, I'm a little older than these guys, and I can remember starting racing when there was dirt tracks, going to the races with some people, and there was a guy named Sam Kennedy that lived about 2 miles from me, and I lied about my age. I was 14. I'd quit school. Got me a job, and he was drag racing with a 62 Dodge, and so in 64 he got a new Dodge, and I bought his car for the street and started street racing. And as we come along, he passed away in 1968, and I just got rid of everything he had. He was married, had 2 young children, and I was at Piedmont Dragway. And everybody around here, if there was a super stock or a stock race or anything like that, mainly super stock, you went to Piedmont to watch that race. And, Ronnie Socks and Buddy Martin was there that weekend, and Nicholson, Jenkins, everybody, it was anybody. And so I seen Buddy Martin, and he asked me, he said, "What are you doing now?" I said, "I'm really not doing anything." And he asked me if I would go with Danny Graves and drive the truck to California. We were going to be gone 6-8 weeks. And that was really my beginning of going big time racing. And we all know how much we thought of Ronnie Socks and Buddy Martin, Rickie and myself especially, Pat. But Ronnie was the best 4-speed driver there was around. Well, we're going out there, and all I was doing was help drive the truck, unload cars, unload display boards in Plymouth dealerships. They would fly in, Ronnie and Buddy, and do supercar clinics. And then on the weekends, we'd race somewhere. And it just was an eye-opener to me. I had been used to changing transmissions, carburetors, camshafts. Well, all I did was wipe cars down and keep them shined up and do what they said do. And I think after about 6 weeks, I had got to where they'd let me change rear tires. And so I met the always famous people, Dick Landy, Bob and Don Spar that owned B&M, the Lambecks, the Butch Lills, things like that. But if it hadn't have been for Buddy Martin taking me on the road and show me showmanship and how to go about really winning races, I wouldn't have what I got. And everybody that I run across, I learned something from. The Bill Jenkinses, the Don Nicholsons, the Don Carltons, the Ronnie Socks. I just could not believe the things I learned, and I grew up and started racing. It just went further than I ever dreamed it could go. I had some problems. I had to decide what I was going to do. I had time to think about it, and I decided to start a driving school. And I got started teaching pro stock, and all of a sudden, working with racers, Scott Jeffreyon with the Wayne County bunch, Kurt Johnson, Warren Johnson, the Gliddens. It's just on and on. And I've been so fortunate to be able to race and win. And the big part is training people to be winners, real winners. And you were talking about no prep and stuff like that earlier on the show. One of the things we're doing is we took that Thunderbird and put a big tire on it and a bigger engine, and we're going to start training people to be better racers in this no prep, street outlaws, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of people keeping up with that today. And so if I'm going to continue to be in this sport, which I want to be, people say, when are you going to quit this? You don't have to do this. If you can look behind me, there's a calendar back there with a lot of school dates for 2021. And we're so excited about what's going to be happening. And thanks to so many people in the past. You mentioned Don Hardy, Rickie. I've got the Don Hardy Capri out here in a trailer that we have completely redone. And I met with Jack Roush today. We have a car in the Don Garnish Museum. This car will possibly be going in Jack Roush's museum in Michigan. So it's just preserving a lot of things that we've all done and had fun with. And guys, how do you say this? I admire all of you. You know, I'm looking in the background. I see Chip King's Superbird. I see Chip Laughlin has got such a car collection down there. It's just so much you can learn from people around here in North Carolina that's gone racing. Rickie Smith, Pat Musi, and Roy Hill. We all did it sort of different, but we're all still here and doing it. And we love it. There's no reason to quit you.
Definitely, Roy, definitely. Pat, look, your career, did you ever think it would get this far and be where it's at?
Nah, it's crazy, you know, but listen to Roy and Rickie about Don Hardy. We all got one thing in common. We all started with Hardy cars, I'm pretty sure. Tom was a big guy, you know, and God bless him, or, you know, rest in peace, Don. But my first car was a Hardy car, you know, and I started pro stock in 74, but what kind of, I'm a little younger than Roy, maybe a little older than Rickie, not much. We're talking a couple of years, but I started street racing right out of high school. Instead of going to high school, I'd go race on the street at a Corvette and a big block. I do that. So I would read about Nicholson, Sox, Roy. And by the way, I got a lot of lessons from Roy. You name it, he done. So I got to race down here a lot, you know, in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and learn a lot. But what's good is I read about these guys, and I got to race them, and I was an English town guy, so we'd match race a lot. And they'd all come up there. And Roy will tell you, Roy drove one of my cars at Rockingham. I was pretty tough in the match race days. And, you know, wearing out Jenkins, wearing out Nicholson was just probably the coolest thing in my career, you know, just at my age. I was 20-some years old, and they had me by at least 15 years. So, but Rickie said half of my audio. Like I said, guys, I apologize. I'm on my cell phone. But, so that was it. But the biggest part of my career, I think, now is having a daughter I could stand behind that I taught how to drive. You know, taught her the whole deal, taught her the ropes. And she's done well. It tickles the hell out of me. When these guys have been doing it 30, 40 years. Hell, he never won a race. Like Roy said, Rickie says, you got to know how to win. You got to know how to race. I think that's what separates the winners from the losers, you know, in our business.
Well, guys, look, we got a fan question. Josh Wilburn, he makes a comment. He says, I kind of wish you guys' generation had camera phones, but I know all the cool guys would be locked up if they did. So is there any moment out there that you're like, oh, I wish I had a camera, but I'm glad that there were no cameras?
That would have been the definition of breaking the internet. They would have broke the internet. Facebook jail, YouTube banned. No.
We didn't need no cameras back in.
And I bet you're glad of it, Rickie.
Ralphie's helping me now, you know, on the side. And he looked over at me the other day. He said, you know something? If they had these goddamn camera phones in the 70s, we'd be in jail right now.
Well, I'll be honest.
That damn.
All of us are thankful there was no cameras in the 70s and in the 80s and into the 90s. I'll even say today, I don't use those cameras. I got a flip phone. It's an antique. And, but gosh, if there had been cameras, Rickie, if there had been cameras in the 70s, where would you be?
Probably in prison. My wife probably would have killed me.
Where would you be in the 70s?
Man, you're asking.
You'd be his roommate probably, and I'd be on the top bunk.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Things have changed. Things have really changed.
I'm gonna tell you a good one on
Hey,
road.
Roy, how about old Kojak?
I'm gonna say something on road. Now we're telling stories and true stories, and this dang deal here. That daggone Roy, me and him was fighting for the motorcraft deal back in the day. I was trying to keep motorcraft. He was trying to get motorcraft. He had Mercury and I had Ford and blah 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 and this and forth back forth. But we all had big motors back then. But we go to NHRA, we had to run them 500-inch, but we called them baby motors, starter motors. And I done figured out what Roy was doing. That joke would go in. This went on for a while. But he'd go in and he'd make a run, and it'd P&G back in. Well, he'd get his old motor P&G, and the next qualifying run, he'd come out there and get on in the field. He didn't have a 500-inch motor to run good enough to qualify, and he'd jump right in the middle of the pack. Well, I knew the motor wouldn't run. I knew it did. But anyway, he was good friends with one of them tech guys. I don't have to call his name. Roy knows he's a little short guy, likes to cook barbecue. But Roy had more of the paint colors than NHRA had. He had them all. So he'd just go in and get his motor P&G, they'd seal it. Well, hell, he'd change motors that night and he'd seal it back with the same damn color. Well, I got Joe Tech at the time. I said, Joe, here's what's going on. I want you to stop this now. He's trying to get my deal, and I want you to stop. So Joe gets him the next day, and he pulls him over down there. We was at Indy. He pulls him over in the barn down there. Gonna P&G him again. Roy done got mad and told him, no, it's been P&G. Joe said, no, we're gonna do it again. So anyway, Roy knew higher up people, way higher than I did. So anyway, Joe Tech comes to my trailer. It might have been Saturday morning. He comes to my trailer and he says, hey, no, it's Sunday morning, I believe. He come to the back of my trailer, Joe Tech did, and he called me back out and he said, Rickie, you want me to? He said, yeah. He said, I can't check that motor. I said, what do you mean you can't check that motor? He said, I was called from the tower and told to leave Roy Hill alone. That motor was legal. So from that point on, I know when they used to mess with Roy no more in NHRA.
That was probably the idea, Rick, right about then.
Rickie, you know that couldn't have been true.
Yeah.
No, we did some things coming up. My NHRA program wasn't nowhere like my IHRA program was. I guess all of us.
Neither one of us had a good 500-inch motor, and neither one of us had. Glidden and all them had that shit wore out, but they'd come over and try to run them big motors with us, and we'd teach them a lesson, when we Lord.
We've had fun doing it too. But since he started the story, Pat, you can remember back, and Rickie, I've never really talked to you about this. I've heard rumors when we was running an IHRA that you were paying the starter off. You would leave and he'd flip the switch and you could make it without red lighting. And so that got out there, and I've never been one to go out there and kiss and tell, you understand? But I'm always trying to believe what Rickie said. But Rickie, was you paying that starter off when you was winning all those IHRA races?
Well, I was smart enough to write him a check and put T-shirts on it. That's all I can tell you.
I see that check too, buddy. But there's all kind of things. Pat, I'm sure there's a good story of something you've done and got away with it. No, there's a lot of things you've done and got away with it.
Well, you told me all. Hey, you remember old Paul when we had the cow on the valve cover? You know that's when me and you made a commitment. We were friends for life after that. You come over and rocking him and said, look, you got me and my old man up in the trail. He said, look, I kind of run this place around here, but I can see you ain't the kind of guys to back off. But if we team up, we could definitely run this place. We've been friends ever since, ain't we?
Pat controlled the north, and I was trying to help control the south. And together, we've gone around the country and made a good effort not getting caught at what we were doing. And Rickie was right in there with us. Good gosh. I got to tell this on Rickie. We were in Summerduck, Virginia. And if you've ever been up there, it's not the safest track in the world to go to. And so we were racing, and it come down to me and Rickie. It got dark, and you would run an 8th mile, and right as you walked through the finish line, there was a curve, and you went down the hill, and whoever was in front got to go across the bridge. And so it come down to me and Rickie. We dropped the clutch, and I go out there and shut it off about the time you go in second. Rickie didn't know where I was at. It was dark. And he run that thing wide open all the way to the 8th mile. And thank God, when he was going around that curve, I could see him, and I hoped he would make us across that bridge. You remember that, Rickie?
Hell yeah, you son of a bitch. You had, that's the scariest. I've wrecked a lot of cars. I've flipped them. I've hit walls. I broke my leg. I've done everything in these cars. But that right there was, and I was young and, fight a damn monkey, which I did. Or grew up, whatever. But when I finally got that damn car stopped, I couldn't even get out of it. My damn left leg was jumping up and down. It wasn't just shaking. The song gun was jumping up and down 4 or 5 inches at a time. It scared the damn shit out of me. I just knew I'd done total lost my car. Gonna be over in them damn weeds in the creek down there or whatever. But I got it stopped somehow or another. But it was just pitch dark. All I was shooting for was them floodlights that went across the end of the racetrack. And when I went by them floodlights, it was total. I had nothing to shoot for. I just kind of turned the wheel and knew I had to go left and down this hill, and it's just a miracle. That is by far, and I didn't wreck, but that's absolutely the scariest. I've never been scared of the wrecks I had. I mean, I didn't want to wreck, and I'm flipping and carrying on, hoping this song was gonna quit hitting something. I'm wanting that to happen, but that deal right there was the scariest that I've ever been in a race car. On that deal right there, and that damn Roy had that planned all along. He knew he wasn't going no farther than about 60 foot, but he wouldn't split the money, so I wasn't going to let him win the damn race, so I run all the way to the finish line.
What he didn't know is I got the same amount as he did. But he has been a very, very serious racer. We've done a lot of racing together. He's won a lot. That country shindig car you're talking about earlier, what was it, super modified you called it?
Super modified. There's a Maverick. Jack Roush built the car originally for Keith Fowler. It was all built by Gap and Roush.
And he's won there. I can remember when he got that Mustang, Keith Fowler was behind him, and Rickie and myself would go around the country and run match races. And we really, really was competitive. Every once in a while, we'd run across Pat. It'd be a good match race. Jenkins, Conio, some of those people would be involved in it. But from then us going into the Mountain Motor Pro stock and then into the NHRA deal, he's won national championships in super modified. He's done it in pro stock, He's done it also in pro modified. And here a few years ago, these 2010, 12 Cobra jets come out. I got 12 of them, and we would go around and in the beginning match race them. And I went to Rickie and asked him if he wanted to drive one of my cars. We're at Charlotte, the 4-wide track. My car was a little bit faster than his, and I knew he had won. Yeah, a little bit, 10th. And I knew he'd won a lot of races in a lot of different cars, but he'd never won in a super stock car. But you know what? I didn't aim to let him win. I've never give up a race for anyone. Rickie beat me out there at Charlotte in front of all our friends.
You had Bob Tasker there and everybody with you in that trailer that weekend. That boy was helping us. He come down there later on. He said, man, I ain't never seen Roy so damn mad in my life, that little kid. That he said he took the radio when he come in there and throwed it plumb against the big back door in the back of the trailer, and that radio exploded all to hell. He said he said he's still mad. That's 3 hours later. I said, well, that's my last trip. I didn't get to drive no more.
Yeah, you did. You got to drive at where was that? Down there at Troy Humphrey's track.
Yeah, we did go there.
Match race?
Yeah.
God, that was the toughest race I think Rickie and myself ever run in those super stock cars. And he was faster than I was to the last round. Something happened. I edged him out.
Oh, something.
Hey, guys, got a question from the man here, and he wants to know if Pat and Roy did not like Rickie when Rickie first came out on the scene. Is that true?
I don't know.
Don't say that at
I
all.
got along with Rickie. But what about you? I know about you sometimes.
Whoever's asking this question, let me tell you something. The man Rickie was driving for, Keith Fowler, we all respected that man. And Keith asked me, Ronnie Sox, and Don Carlton to look after him. We looked after him too much. We showed him too much, and he ended up starting beating us. You know, that's hard to do. But that's when I say we're at a real even playing ground right now with Rickie, with Pat. Time takes care of everything. There's nothing that Rickie couldn't get from me. There's nothing Pat couldn't get from me. And Pat knows what I'm saying. And Rickie does too. And I feel like that's the same thing I would get if I asked either one of them. But through the years, good God, we had some competitive racing and maybe was pretty competitive in other things, Pat.
Well, I want to say one thing. Back in the day, you didn't want to be around the three of us and our crews. So that's all I can tell you. And I don't think they want to mess with us now. What do you think, Roy? Rick?
Well, I can tell you this. I was real close with his daddy and still his mother. And when you can go and say, everybody says Pat Musi, that's Patsy. That's Patsy. Where's my Patsy? And now I can say I'm able to call him Patsy.
Not too many people know that, but they know it now.
Well, right. Thanks, Roy.
You two, I'm going to make you commit to something.
When I started dealing with him again, he started doing my own motors. First thing I went up there, I called him Patsy, and his wife looked at me and said, man, you do know Roy, Pat, don't you? I said, yeah, I know Patsy.
Well, look, you two, if you watch Street Outlaws, I'm out there by myself. So I'm going to get you to commit tonight. You guys got to come on that Street Outlaw shit. You guys think they got some, but they ain't got us three. You got to come out there, support us a little bit, get on TV, and we'll have some fun like we did in the old days.
I think you should get Rickie in a car out there.
If I come to that Street Outlaw, if I come to that Street Outlaw and I see what I saw last night, the only way I'm coming is with a jackhound.
You know, I've listened to Mike Bell talk about the street outlaw stuff. I've watched it a time or two on TV. It just wasn't for me. But Patsy, are you really making the kind of money people say you do when you win those races?
Hell, it's cash. Ain't no check.
It's cash?
Cash.
We
Cash.
you-
Big sack of cash.
No,
Roy knows what cash is.
Yeah.
and you don't have to count it. I was around it when you
I know. They got it all
You
wrapped
can
up,
weigh it.
bundled up nice. Hell yeah.
Pat, we've been out on them boats at dark and had to come in with no lights and use nothing but radar. And that's
Oh,
when
you remember that night?
I do remember those nights. It's to keep up with times. I guess I'm gonna have to suck it up and try to figure out how to do some of this street outlaw stuff, or some of this no prep racing. But you have done a heck of a job with your motor program, and my hat's off to you. It's not. People might not realize this, but Pat was really competitive in NHRA. He got hooked up with a good friend of mine, Butch Lill, and you and Butch come up with some engine combinations that really paid off years ago, didn't it?
Yeah, we were Alan Indy, we were low ET, and Gainesville were runner up that year, but it just got so expensive. I didn't want to be handcuffed by financial, so I kind of stayed out, but paid attention to my engine building business, and then got into a postage deal with Tony because it was affordable, But whenever I run, I try to be as competitive like that. We're all three of us are competitive. We're gonna race each other. You better believe we're gonna race each other.
Hey, Pat, so the voice of the ADRL, Colton Jordan, I'm not sure what he's getting at, but I've got to ask you because it's directed to you. He states that, I've lost the comment. Yes, here it is. Hey, Pat Musi, I heard you have Dave McClellan's phone number.
Yeah, I do. I get him on the phone once in a while. I don't know how I can get him on this goddamn phone. Mine ain't working good, but yes, I do.
So I got a question for you too, Pat. What is the funniest thing that's ever happened in your dyno room?
Oh, God, the dyno room. I don't know.
There's
We
a
got some
pretty
funny
good
stories. Was what?
Yeah, I was told to ask that there's one that stands out.
God damn, the dyno room. I don't ring a bell, but we had an elevator story, didn't we, Roy?
I'm gonna tell you, Pat's done a lot of things in the dyno room that he don't want to bring out.
Oh man,
Hey, Roy, you getting off that elevator story? What's the matter?
I'll tell you.
I don't know if we can talk about that one.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'll tell you what, I want to say this while I've got a chance to.
You lost a perfectly good set of handcuffs that day.
Do what?
You lost a perfectly good set of handcuffs that day.
We've had some good things, but I want to say thank you to Bobby Bennett, Competition Plus, all you guys for giving us a chance to say and do the things we've done. And, someday we're not going to be here. And these videos we do is going to tell the real story. When they write about you, they can change what's really going on. But we need to sit down and really put some stuff together with even some other people while they're still here. Buddy Martin, good God, he's got so many stories. Butch Lill, I don't think we'd get a word in if Butch got on this show. But in the years to come, there's going to be a lot of people not understand what drag racing was the years we came up. And there's so many that's already gone. The Don Nicholsons, the Bill Jenkinses. Don't think they didn't have stories. Hubert Platt, Lord God, if anybody can remember Hubert Platt, shoot, I think I wanted to grow up and be like him.
Yep. Yeah.
You know what? You got to look like about now, Roy.
Do what?
You resemble him a little bit now. We can dress you up like that. Get you some whiskey bottles for the car, and we'd be good to go.
Yes. So, Roy, my dad, Melvin Kraft, he worked with the Ford Pro Stock team and Hubert Platt. He drove the truck. He was a pit crew member, and yeah, there's some fascinating stories with Hubert. Like him being intoxicated, oxygen bottle, and coffee, getting ready for the next race. I mean,
You're telling it like it is.
See. Yeah. Hubert, wow.
If he burned a spark plug, if he hurt a spark plug, he didn't change spark plugs. They had another engine sitting there. Ford shipped him some parts that we didn't even know existed. And good gosh, I can remember one time he's changing the engine, and the oil pan was made out of fiberglass. That was in the 60s. Can you imagine that, Pat, Rickie? Back then, they was making oil pans. Ford Motor Company made them out of fiberglass, and we were just trying to get thin gauge metal put together. Later on, we come with aluminum. But good gosh, there were so many things, tricks, as you call them. It wasn't cheating.
As Pat Musi would say, Ford is first on race day, right?
Yeah. Found on road dead.
Oh, come on.
I get guys call me
Rickie Smith.
Ford engines.
Rickie Smith had some of the trickiest parts.
I said, why not? It's a motor. I said, nah, Chevrolet, buddy, you got the wrong number. I'm back
that Ford Maverick we had, he had them heads. See, they had to be stock heads. You couldn't port and polish them and open them up and do no more than that, But when Roy's talking about technology, when you start messing around up there in Detroit back in the days, there was a lot of technology that, an average guy like myself or Roy, we didn't know nothing about this stuff. But here you got a main engine builder like Gene Fulton now. I mean, winning all kind of modified championships. He had a car that Tommy, his guy, drove in super modified with us. It was a competitor. Well, we run the first year with Jack Roush. He built the car and all the motors. Well, Keith got mad at Jack because he took on Don Bowles and brought Don Bowles into the program and built him a car after Keith had kind of paid for all this development work. Well, Keith got mad and left Jack, and the next thing I know, we take the stuff to Gene Fulton. And Fulton kept these motors up the second year for me. And we won it. We dominated the class again. 2 years in a row, we just dominated it so bad they done away with it. But the heads and all had been acid dipped. They'd been bead blasted. They'd been fixed. And Fulton, as good as he is and the engine builder he and Robert Leonard was his main tech guy, and him and Gene Fulton were probably really good friends. They lived down there together. So if they could have caught anything wrong, they'd have done it in a heartbeat to get me out of there. But that's how good Roush and them was with all this stuff. They had them heads flowing so much better than a normal deal. Nobody figured out what they'd done to it. You couldn't see no marks of porting and polishing and none of that. But that's just the technology that was in Detroit back in the days that the average engine builder didn't have a clue what was going on.
I mentioned I was with Jack Roush today. He is.
Hey, me and Jack Roush. You mentioned Jack. I want to tell one story now. Me and Jack Roush back in 76 when we put this thing together, we got to be pretty good friends. And Jack showed me a lot about how to, work on these motors and check bearings and do this and that. We were staying, at the same motel, and we'd go back and forth to track together. We didn't have a motorhome back then. Well, we was in Bristol, Tennessee. It was actually in Johnson City. That's where we all, go and stay. When you left the track, you'd go towards Johnson City, and you stay down there. And, we got the motel down there. Me and Jack had rode together. And naturally, we was a lot younger in 1976, so you can figure that out. That's whatever that was, close to 40 years ago or so. we got out and we was carrying on. We done eat supper. Both of us was old belly, which we were skinny. Both he's still skinny, but we somehow or another we got in a foot race, and we're going out across this asphalt parking lot in a foot race, just getting it. We didn't have far to go. Probably had a couple 100 feet. About halfway down through there, we were beating elbows and running against. We had a wide open parking lot to run in, but we're running right against each other. And our damn feet got tangled up against each other. Both of us went flipping, rolling. Now, these two grown men, we went flipping and rolling out across. I remember this to the day I die. We rolled out across that asphalt parking lot and got up. Both of us looked at each other and we both was laughing so daggone hard we was crying at each other. Just stuff like that you just never forget. And you think of somebody like Jack Roush, where he is today, and where he's, the knowledge and the technology and the money he's got. But here poor Rickie Smith is. At one time we were good friends, and we've been rolling through the parking lot together in a damn foot race.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jack is still in good shape. I don't get to see him like I used to, but he's got the taxi back and has completely redone it. I have a transmission for him. I've already sent him one transmission. You guys know I never throw nothing away. The old style transmissions, I got tons of parts for him back there. And so here, after the first of the year, I'm taking him another transmission and shifters and things. But today, when I got down to see Jack, he had told me to come by. He'd asked me some questions about this and that and what I was doing. And the other day, he called me on Monday before last twice. Tuesday, he called me 6 times. And Wednesday, he called me once or twice. But he is so excited about drag racing again and makes me feel so good. So he's coming out the door as I'm pulling in the parking lot, and I was running late. He said, I'm in a hurry. I got you a surprise. He went over to the trunk of his car, opened it up, and said, there's 4 rear ends here, the ratios that you need. Guys, when I opened that box and seen the technology that went into that, Rickie, you and Pat, good gosh, you ought to see this. He is so far ahead development of rear ends for his NASCAR teams. A lot of those teams are great, but I've never heard of this gear company. The reason I hadn't, I think he bought it and developed these gears for his cars, and that's how he's won so many races. It takes so much drag out of them. So we're going to put them in our super stock cars and have a lot of fun. But Jack Roush, Buddy Martin, some of these old timers that's still there that have gone out and done other things. Look where Jack Roush went in racing, in NASCAR racing. He still loves drag racing. And a good friend of ours, Dave Braswell, Jack's daughter called a couple years ago and wanted some carburetors if I knew where any were. And so I searched around and I found a pair of, you remember those 64 Holly carburetors?
Absolutely.
Okay, that was what it was on his taxi. And so I found a set, and the guy wanted $10,000 for them. Well, I told him there wasn't no use in gouging me, and I told him it was for Jack. Well, he thought just because Jack had that much money to spend, or had more money to spend, he would buy those carburetors. So I called Susan back and told her what he wanted for the carburetors, and I said, give me a week or two. I called our buddy out in Arizona, Dave Braswell, which I've stuck with Dave through everything. I asked him if he had a pair of 64s or anything he could find and rebuild. He hummed around a minute and said, who are they for? I told him Jack Roush for his taxi. He said, Roy, I got a brand new set sitting back here in behind some other things. I'll have to dig them out. but Jack got a brand new set of 64s. And you know what? Dave Braswell sold them to him cheaper than we could buy them in the 70s. I think I sent him $600, and Jack was tickled to death. So that $600 I spent got me 4 rear ends. They're valued at $4,000 a piece, and it's taken care of people. That's what has got Roy Hill, Rickie Smith, and Pat Musi where they're at today. It wasn't always the dollar and cents that got us where we needed to get something that we couldn't get. So even though Pat gets $150,000 for those motors, is that right, Rickie?
Yeah, right.
Hey guys, before we
somebody I want to say before we go, you talk about Jack Roush and all. I'd like to say one thing. It's a pretty big honor to me to be able to. I built this house here in 1978. Okay, I'm still in it right now. We're in the basement of my house. Do you believe that I used to match race Grumpy Jenkins' car when Joe Lapone drove it? We match raced some together back in them days. Grumpy Jenkins and Joe Lapone. Me and Joe Lapone laid upstairs in my living room on the floor on our bellies and arm wrestled up there at night. But Grumpy Jenkins and Joe Lapone have spent the night in my house here. That's pretty big.
Hey guys, before we all run out of nitrous here, got one final question to ask you guys. And Pat, I'm going to start with you. What are you looking forward to in 2021? What does your 2021 race season look like with all the stuff you got going on with Lizzie and everything like that?
Well, I ask that a lot. A lot depends on what happens with this. Well, now you're really going to get mad. This retard we got for president. But we'll see if he shuts us down. But we need to see what happens with schedules. But I really need to concentrate, like Rickie and me were talking today, on one thing. So I'll probably concentrate on the Street Outlaw deal, and got a bunch of customers I need to help that got my engines in PDRA. But that'll be our main deal because we're in front of a lot of people. We're trying to make a brand for ourselves. That'll be primary. But really, I don't think Rickie will tell you, Roy will tell you, you can't really go by schedule. We don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows. It's up in the air, unfortunately. They can pick on Trump all they want, but he didn't bring us the virus. But, it is what it is. We'll just see. We'll have to just play it by ear, but we will race one way or another if it's on the highway. Like went to Wyoming and spent a month, we'll race on the highway. It don't matter.
Stop by North Dakota next time you come up.
All right, you got a deal. We weren't that far. We'll come see you. You got a highway we can unload on?
Oh, yeah.
All right, you got a deal.
Yep. What about you? We'll go to you, Rickie. What does your 2021 race season look like? Maybe some carnage that you got to take out of the car right now?
Yeah, I got to say one thing. Pat, he's going to make more money off of me than he did what he won down there at Florida this weekend. But anyway, that's what we was talking about. Me and Pat was talking about there, I had no business probably going down there. I like to race, and I wanted to go. I missed the first 2 this year because of my back surgery. But my car is, it's NHRA legal, and I ain't the smallest person by no means. And, I'm giving up 50 and 60 pounds to most of those fast cars. So, and I just don't run my stuff that hard. Pat knows the way I run it. The blocks always stay in good shape. And I'm just not somebody that just tears my motors up, just putting a lot of nitrous in them. So the way, as hard as they're running them cars and doing that with and the lightweight, giving up 50 pounds and stuff like that, I'm just not going to do that. So I got a good NHRA program. I got the weight on them cars heavy enough and I'm okay. And I just need to stick with that. It's hard to get enough money to run one way, much less try to run 2 different categories. And I'm just going to kind of stay with my NHRA program. And I got this deal come across through Mark SoCal, which is a big digital company, advertising company. It come through Junior Michael. Parkway Ford was on my car back in the 70s and 80s. You see that on the back quarter panel. And Junior, we've always stayed friends. And we were talking before Christmas, Thanksgiving, and he just spoke up and he said, "Hey, I think I can put you something together." And he did. He worked with him and Casey that partners with him at Capital Chevrolet in Wake Forest. And Junior started out at Parkway Ford, and I guess now he owns, between him and his brother and some of them, I think he owns 16, 17 dealerships, Ford, Chevrolet, and Jeep. So for this man just to step up, and it just shows, like Roy said, you look after people, you're good to your sponsors. I mean, this come from a sponsorship that happened all through the 80s. This guy just steps right up and says, "No, I want to see you stay out there a little while. How long you want to race?" I said, "Shit, I don't know." I said, "Just keep my health, right now." But that's where this sponsorship come together is just from being a good friend and being nice to him back in the 80s. And he sponsored me back in, and here he is now, helping me again and stepping up, and they took the door of this car. So Mark SoCal, Junior Michael, and Casey, and Tim, Junior's brother, that's where all this come from. So we're going to concentrate on the NHRA program and just do it the best we can, because it's a good sponsorship, but it's not stupid money. So I need to stay focused on what I'm supposed to be running and not get carried away and do something else. So I'm in for NHRA. I will. You'll probably see me, because I told him I'd like to run something around here. You'll probably see me at some of the PDR races, but I really want to try to get my son. And it just takes time, I mean, he's going to be good. He drove these cars. He just never drove automatic, with a tie drive. He's hellacious. But if I just had a clutch the car, he'd jump right in it right now. He was bad. He's bad with a clutch. Now he's good. He's like Jonathan Gray. I mean, they'd be double low if you don't watch out every time you turn the clutch loose. But I really want to try to get him some experience maybe and let him get in the car. Maybe we go run a couple of these races, these 8th mile races together. He's 90 pounds lighter than I am. So we can get the car down to the weight with him in it. And I like to go do that with him. It'd just be some fun to be able to do that with my son and go run, decent. But main thing is I got to get the car down to the weight. It's what happens. You're not so being 50 or 60 pounds overweight with a car. Yeah, that's probably a couple hundreds. But when you got the weight in the wrong spot and you're too heavy, it's hard to make a car do right. I mean, if I get it to run fast, it wants the wheel stand like crazy. So, I know what to do with these cars. I mean, Pat knows that. I'm no dummy, but you can't go to a fight with a knife and you go into a gunfight, I guess you might say. So those guys are running good. Give them credit. They run really good. They worked hard, got the program together. Pat, Dean, Halsley, all them top 3 nitrous cars. They're bad right now, but I'll just hang out, my NHRA thing and try to stay focused on that. And I'm just so tickled to death that I'll be 67 here on Christmas Day, and I had no idea when I started this, and I was 20 years old, that I would even race till I was 25. And to be able to sit here and tell you I'll be 67 years old here in a few more days, and I'm going to race again next year when I'm 68, and I'm competitive. I can win races if the NHRA would just let the nitrous car be competitive, because I've got basically one of the fastest nitrous cars out there. So that's all I can do is be a fast nitrous car. It's up to NHRA to let us be competitive and win races. It's not that Rickie Smith can't win races no more. We won this year, and we don't have the power to run up front. We have the power, but just the way the rules are. So hopefully they'll help us out a little bit with the rules and let a nitrous car come back and be competitive next year. Nobody's won a championship in 4 years since I deal with a nitrous car in 16, and it's time to get the parity right and let the nitrous car have a little glory over there, So that's my deal. I just want to say thanks to people like Mark Stockset that helps me, Steve Vick, Junior Michael, Mark Stockset. I mean, like I say, and Mark SoCal, and hey, I am just tickled to death, and just pray to God that I can stay away from that COVID and live another year to race.
Awesome. And Roy, before they kick us off the internet and before they time us out in the podcast world, who do you have to thank, and what are your plans for 2021?
Well, last year we built a new Mountain Motor Pro Stock with all the intentions of going racing NHRA a quarter mile with Mike Bell driving it. Through some things to COVID, we got in trouble. We couldn't go racing, couldn't test. We couldn't really find the kind of help we was looking for. Health. If we can just keep our health, we're going racing this year. I'm going to run Super Stock and Stock some. Mike will be in the Pro Stock car, hopefully. And there's 3 organizations out there. You heard me mention NHRA. I've been a huge, huge supporter of NHRA my whole life. That and IHRA. Well, the ADRL, they have been a league formed, and you get free entry. You race for $10,000 first place, 6 runner-up, 4 the semifinals, and 2,000 qualifying, an 8-car field. All these other organizations are charging you $1,800, $1,500 to enter the race, and then NHRA, I think, is paying $3,900 one spot. God, it just tears me up. I have to look at business. I've always made my programs pay for themselves. I can't sell sponsors right now because we don't know what's going to happen with this COVID. We don't know what's going to happen with the new president we're getting. Yesterday, 2 days ago, Monday, the governor shut down something that we all go to, which is the Shriners Expo over here in Greensboro at the Greensboro Coliseum. Jim Turner called me and told me, said, Roy, they've told me I can't have it. It was going to be bigger and better. Every year it gets bigger and better. So I don't know what to say. If they shut things down like this in North Carolina, if they shut things down all over the country, I heard California was shutting down. But good God, God's the only man that can straighten this problem out. Him and Donald Trump. I wish he would get back squared away, but I'm not going to get into this political stuff. But Kenny Nelling has stepped up and generated some good money for the Mountain Motor Pro Stocks. And so that's going to be my number one priority to run his races. He has 6 races. He's been in meetings. He's got some good things coming. And I have always been a supporter of Kenny Nelling. And he runs the Mountain Motor Pro Stock. He runs the Pro Modified. And it's just going to be a good program to get started over there. And hopefully NHRA will come together. Hopefully PDRA will come together. But I come up in the years of not paying to get in the races. It's like a bunch of clowns going to the circus, paying to get in to put the show on.
Absolutely.
I'm over that, Rickie. I really am.
Oh, yeah. I'm the same way.
I love NHRA to death. And I've never run one of these PDRA, but I'm sure the people there are good people. But you don't have to make your money off the racers. They're the ones putting the show on.
Hey, if Mike gets sick and can't drive that car, call me. I'll drive that damn thing.
I'll call you the first time he said he don't want to drive it. But we got a good Jerry Hot car. And you just find time. Pat, Rickie, from the bottom of my heart, it's been a hell of a tour, and we're not through yet. You remember that.
We ain't through, buddy.
I'm 75, and I'm not giving up. And we're all going to have a lot more fun.
Oh, yeah, and one of you I can't call. Say, hey, I need you here right now. He's in the car and coming, and I do the same thing.
Well, guys, look,
Gotta
thank
get it.
you, all of y'all, being on the show tonight. We're going to let you go and get some sleep. We want to get some sleep, too, and we're going to shut this thing down. We're already in the sand pit by this time, and we got safety crews coming out for us. So, guys, thank you.
They didn't have enough wreckers tonight.
All right, guys.
Thank you, man. Appreciate being on the
Thanks,
show.
guys.
Thank you, Rickie. Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Amen.
Happy
Merry
New Year, guys.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas. Happy New Year.
Happy holidays.
Well, Sam, so I'm on a Top Fuel Harley. We have established that Rickie Smith will drive for Roy Hill if Mike Bell doesn't want to. And, yeah, I mean, we got
I'm
all
going to get
of
into
them.
a pro stock car.
Yeah, and we got all of them going no prep street outlaws.
Dude, that is good. You know how epic that's going to be, though? If they all show up with Pat one day? I think it needs to happen.
Dude, I tell you, it is going. That's going to be wild. That's going to be wild. Hey, man, look, to Thursday night, 8 p.m. on my channel, Monday Morning Racer, I have got Camry Caruso, possibly the first woman in Mountain Motor Pro Stock. Also, Cruz Petragon. I've got Cruz Petragon on the show. Who you got on your podcast, man?
Hey, we're talking some local IMCA racers. We got the legend. He's coming back on, Larry McFall, announcer here in town. And we've got one of our modified drivers, the 75 machine of Justin Small Metlers. That is In the Groove podcast, everything Mad Bro Motorsports and everything Outlaw Performance ENT. You guys wouldn't mind checking both of us out. Your host is whatever co-host you want to call us. The Monday Morning Racer, please. Give him a like, a share, subscribe to his stuff, subscribe to my stuff, Mad Bro Motorsports, Outlaw Performance ENT. If you haven't done already, go and get all of your gear for Competition Plus. Thank you to Competition Plus for this great platform, giving you guys the information that you need. But I think that wraps up another great episode of the Power Hour. What do you think there, Lee?
The Power Hour is out right now.